Hello everybody, hope all of you are doing great. This video session is going to focus on how to choose the correct occupation, how to nominate the right occupation in support of your application for a skilled migrant visa for Australia, be it subclass 189, 190 or 491. So let me get started with a little bit of fact check here. A lot of you think that probably getting started with the immigration process means starting to look at the nominations. Please understand the timeline for the visa is something like this. First, you need to get your skills assessment done, which takes about 3 months. Then you need to apply for a state nomination or wait for your invitation to apply for a visa. And then finally lodge your visa application. Now, there have been a lot of changes with the assessment bodies in Australia, and there are about 35 assessment bodies that assess different occupations. And some of these changes are published, while some of these changes could be internal, which probably you will not understand unless and until you put up an application and get a negative assessment. So I'm going to walk you through some of the major assessment bodies and what are the things you need to be careful about, or what are the perks associated with that assessment body. Before I get into that, please let me tell you that a lot of times I get CVs from your people, and the CVs are very, very broad. They seem to encompass almost 5 to 6 occupations. So please, whenever you send your CVs, send me the exact role that you've been performing. The CVs should be representative of what you're actually doing so that I'm able to choose the correct occupation for you. Another thing I'd like you to look into is that the skills assessments are open throughout the year. The nominations, which are called the state nominations, are open from time to time, while the quota for a particular year, that is, let's talk about the year 2021-22, will be released on the 1st of July. Therefore, it is essential that you have your skills assessment ready when you're looking at the annual quota for this year. So let's get started with the VETASSESS, which is the largest assessing body. Now, the VETASSESS assessment can be a little complicated. There are deductions involved. There is this concept of whether a highly relevant qualification is required for your occupation or a highly relevant qualification is not required for your occupation. There are some internal criteria in terms of the specific documentation that you need to provide in order to get positively assessed. The rejection with the VETASSESS result out of an inappropriate choice of occupation. The next occupation is an occupation related to all the computing related occupations which are assessed by the ACS, that is the Australian Computer Society. Sadly, there must be some of you who had a positive assessment from the ACS earlier. You probably might have applied for renewal of your skills assessments and got a negative assessment this time. This has been happening because the ACS has undergone some major changes wherein their criteria for the payment evidence have undergone a change. For example, I can assure you that somebody who's working in a computing profession and does not have a verifiable third-party evidence of having been paid, such as the ITRs or Form 26A, you are very likely to get a negative assessment. So definitely you would want to check on the right occupation to nominate and whether you do have the requisite documentation in order to get a positive assessment. The Engineers Australia is a body that requires most applicants, at least in India, to go through the competency demonstration report, that is the CDR system. Now, Engineers Australia is a very stringent body. They do a very thorough plagiarism checks, and majority of the assessments that are assessed negatively are assessed negatively because they find some sort of plagiarism in the content that you provided for your competency demonstration report. Therefore, you need to be very careful about what you're submitting. Even a simple chart or a diagram, which probably somebody else has submitted earlier, can lead to a rejection and also a potential 12-month ban from applying for an assessment again. teaching is an occupation. A lot of times people think that teachers should be in a lot of demand. Yes, they are in a lot of demand in Australia. However, the criteria for school teachers can be rather tough. Ideally, school teachers such as the primary or the secondary teachers are, in addition to having a bachelor's degree, they're required to also have their B.Ed or NTT with 45 days of practical teacher training, and this must be specified in the university syllabus. In addition to that, they need to clear the IELTS academic with 7 bands in 2 sections and 8 bands in 2 sections, which can be a tall order. However, there are many teaching occupations which do not have any such requirements, such as vocational teachers, private teachers, university lecturers, for example, do not have any such requirements. Therefore, you need to check with us as to what kind of teacher are you, so that we can guide you about the exact teaching occupation to nominate. Then I'm going to talk about the trades occupation. So when you're broadly looking at the occupation list, so you will see that against all trade-related occupations, be it welder, be it a fitter, be it a baker, a pastry cook or whatever, the assessment body that is specified is TRA, that is Trades Recognition Australia. However, you will be surprised to know, depending on the country you're applying from and the country where you're living, the assessment body could actually be VETASSESS Trades. It may not be TRA. So VETASSESS Trades is a body that probably does not even need any formal qualification, whereas TRA does need you to have a formal qualification and training. So let's say there's somebody who wants to apply as a baker. He sees his occupation assessment body as TRA, but in actuality he's been working as a baker in India, so he has about 6 to 7 years of experience as a baker. He's good to go without any qualifications. And interestingly, recently VETASSESS also announced that for certain trade level occupations, once they've demonstrated sufficient years of work experience and have cleared their assessment through the VETASSESS Trades, they will also be getting a certification. Now, I'm going to finally talk about the NEC occupation. So there are a lot of occupations, a lot of professionals who may just go through the entire occupation lists, which is the MLTSSL, the STSL and the ROL, and they might quite feel that, you know, what I'm doing, what my specific role is, quite does not fit into any of these occupations that are eligible for migration purposes. Let me tell you, there is this concept of not elsewhere classified occupations, which is called NEC, and there can be thousands and thousands of occupations for which you can apply under the NEC category. Now, this is something you may not find much written material online, but definitely we can tell you, we can assess your CV and tell you whether you could be eligible to apply for skilled migration to Australia by nominating an NEC occupation. Now, I'd like to end this video by sharing with you that I am going to be conducting free assessments and advising you about the correct occupation to nominate and giving you relevant information related to that occupation in terms of the skilled migration to Australia. And this advice will be absolutely free for 1 week, that is from 9th April to 15th April. I'd like you to send your CVs to me on caanwings@gmail.com, that is CAANWINGS@gmail.com, or give us a call on 78498 78498. The program that we are running for this 1 week is called Ask Diamond. So under Ask Diamond, I will be giving you a confirmation of eligibility and advice along with all the details for the occupation you are fit to nominate in support of your application for skilled migration to Australia. So please go ahead and send me your CVs. Please make sure your CVs are absolutely complete in every respect: date of birth, qualifications, employment tenures, brief description of your roles, tasks and duties, and so on. So until next time, take care and bye-bye.